and then we circle back to Tesla
Right.
and
You
we
know,
circle around, and it's like,
I'm telling you, this right here, Tartaria, to me, hooks into the Younger Dryas again. It's like a big reset.
welcome to the Mystic Podcast. I'm Michelle with my little brother, Tommy.
What's going on, everybody?
No JC this week.
No, he's feeling under the weather, so give him a let him go.
Send him some healing juju this week. There's stuff going around. I don't really doubt it. I tell you, if it isn't the creeping crud, it's allergies.
Well, I tell you what, I don't know what it is up in your neck of the woods, but where I live, we're under a flood watch
Oh
because it's
yeah, it's
raining.
bad. So the mold is bad right now.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
usually the stuff goes through Kansas City before it gets to me, so more
yeah,
likely it's probably what's messing JC up a little bit because he
more
does
than
have
likely.
allergies.
So hopefully he'll be back with us next week. So Tom, tell everybody what we're talking. We actually have already been talking about it for about 15 minutes.
Right. So we're going to talk about Tartaria and all the different, aspects of Tartaria, and we're going to talk about, I guess, a lost civilization, and maybe
Lost technology.
lost technology, and maybe speculate why it became lost.
And all the
Um,
different ways that we even see early or later people like Tesla, Einstein, I mean, all kinds of people. It
yeah,
just circles. It's just amazing.
yeah. Can't
I'm first, let me, in case somebody's listening that doesn't have a clue. Okay.
go for it.
Because really I'd heard of it before, but I never really dug into it until recently because of this podcast. So Tartary, also known as Tartaria, was a term used with the Middle Ages from the Middle Ages through to the 19th century to describe a vast and somewhat vaguely defined region of northern and central Asia. The name appears prominently on old maps from the 16th to the 19th centuries used by European cartographers and scholars. Now, this region encompassed parts of what we now know as Siberia, Mongolia, Central Asia, parts of China, and parts of Eastern Europe. The people living in these regions were broadly called Tartars, although this designation was often a catch all term used by Westerners to describe various nomadic Turkic and Mongolic people. Tartary was never a single unified empire. Instead, it was geographic shorthand for this vast area that was under control by various, I don't know how to pronounce this word, Khanati, Khanats, Khanats, tribes, federations, and now, and I come across this recently, the Russian Empire.
Okay.
As Russia expanded eastward into the 17th and 19th century, the term Tartary fell out of favor, and it was replaced by an accurate geographic, different political terms depending on where you lived. But what I came across TikToky was the Russians having supposedly found the key, the central point, the technology.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing is that area that you're talking about, that geographic area, that's the steppes. What they would call steppes, steppes. It's more of like a plain. It's like steppes would be like western Kansas. Okay, you got plains and wheat, tall grasses, grassland.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, moderately flat. I mean, until you get around a river, and it might get a little hilly, but nothing.
Do you
Maybe
think
some rolling hills,
you
but
think it's cavey?
I don't know if it's cavey. The thing is, the caves, depending, it would depend on I know there's some caves in Siberia, uh, close to like the swamplands in
Oh,
Siberia,
yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
or probably close to any kind of river or stream or anything like that. But I mean, that's the kind of geographic. If you think about it, I mean, it'd be flat, it'd be easy to build on,
Oh,
especially if they had
gotcha.
advanced
Yeah.
technology. It'd be pretty simple.
Be easy to wipe
'Cause,
clean too.
yeah, it's not like you're building on the side of a mountain or you're
Right.
having to knock down a bunch of trees. It's just right there. It's grass.
Well, here's some of the things that different people, depending on, what rabbit hole you occupy.
Oh yeah, there's a lot
Here's
of
some of
them.
the different things it says or that are talked about. Advanced technology and architecture. So, you've heard of star forts, monumental buildings, and world exposition architecture. Um, how many times you've seen this stuff from the World's Fair, like 1893, 1915?
Hmm. Yeah.
Remnant, and these were allegedly remnants of Tartarian engineering, featuring domes, spires, and elaborate facades, which made me think Russia,
Right.
with claims that their construction would have been impossible without technology given in official narratives. Um, and they assert that the access to free energy technology, possibly using etheric or scalar energy, featuring antennas, domes, and capacitors, were built into the architecture itself.
Yep. I mean,
Okay.
just like Nikola Tesla.
I know. If
What he was doing out there,
this,
was he out in Colorado Springs or was it Pueblo, Colorado? I know he was out in Colorado somewhere, and he actually had an area that he had energy going everywhere. It was just out there free.
what popped in my head also? Skinwalker Ranch.
Yeah, right.
And now, what did we find recently with the pyramids?
Yeah, that there's shafts underneath the pyramids. You know, it's like what does this lead to? What's all this going on?
I
And
mean, yeah,
yeah,
we're not done though. We've got more.
oh yeah, oh yeah. And the
So
thing is,
here's
and
another thing, and Tom, you are a proponent of this one. I know the
mhm,
mud flood theory. Now,
yep,
one of the more peculiar elements of Tartarian narrative is the mud flood theory, which claims that a global or regional catastrophe it doesn't claim either natural or man-made, buried entire cities in mud in the 18th and 19th centuries. Evidence cited includes buildings with doors and windows that are below current street level, inconsistent architectural records, and basement windows that appear to be remnants of larger underground stories. Some suggest this event was used as a cover to erase Tartarian culture and reset human civilizations.
well, and the thing is, it's not even really. I mean, that would explain a lot if there's like because I've heard things I've researched on this is that there's like different layers in the ground that go deep down there and they're finding this stuff. And the thing is, it's possible, and even as time goes on, like London,
Oh,
England
yeah.
has like you can go down into another area and like you can see the old town,
Yeah.
like the old streets and everything. It's just like the whole thing
It's
was built on
layered.
top of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, that I think that just happens in time on all cities. But the thing is, there might have been a mud flood or something like that of that nature, and they just took it as an opportunity to not talk about it to keep people, if the Russians had control of the area, you
Hmm.
know. So
Hmm.
it's like, there's all
And if
this
it's on this
technology.
flat plane,
Yeah, let's not talk about it, but we'll excavate it and we'll keep it our secret and
but
we'll use
this,
it.
yeah, this theory, this particular, the mud flood theory, it brings back, how many, and this has been discussed before. How many times have we been reset? You discussed the Younger Dryas.
Yeah, I think the Younger Dryas, that was a huge human reset.
How
I
many,
mean,
and then we get into, have you heard about the Cabbage Patch Kids?
I've heard mention of the Cabbage Patch Kids, but I didn't really quite understand what I was looking at.
this next theory, and that feeds into, and that's the thing about these, they all kind of feed into one another. So here is another rabbit hole: world fairs and orphan trains. World expositions of the 19th and early 20th centuries were used to reintroduce surviving Tartarian technology and culture while presenting it as a marvel of the modern Western invention. Orphan trains, which we know those existed,
Right.
where thousands of children were relocated in the United States, are interpreted as ways to repopulate areas with children after
Right.
cataclysm or global conflict, with no adult supervisors of the previous civilization.
Yeah.
So, in other words, the families they went into were either conditioned, that has to be it to me, to forget it. They had been reset, brainwashed, conditioned to have no knowledge. So anything they taught these kids, they were conditioned to teach these kids what what they wanted them to teach them.
Well, they
Reset.
probably.
This is how these amnesic events happen.
Well, I mean, I'm pretty sure if something they got a bunch of kids that were
Well, I
part of
mean,
that.
4 or 5 years old, they're not going to know anything.
Right. True. But then just tell them don't talk about what happened. You know.
But if they're
And
raised up to like it doesn't exist,
Right. Exactly. Yeah. I just. So the Cabbage Patch dolls are supposed to represent those kids, is what you're
I
saying?
think later we'll get into more of that if you want to, because I did
Okay.
actually read something about that. But we're not done with these yet. We've got two more.
Oh yeah.
So here's another one: the Great Reset. And again, they all fit in with one another. Many Tartaria researchers tie the fall of this supposed empire to a global event often referred to as a reset, potentially involving wars like the Napoleonic Wars or World War I, pandemics, economic shifts that wipe out the old knowledge and brought about current world order. Now, to me, and I only say this because I did research further on this. This fits into the whole matrix thing, the whole we as spiritual beings. Now, whether what goes with that, we're not going there. We can't help but to evolve. Even a weed, if you lay a rock on it and you lift the rock off, 3 weeks later, you've got a big young, it still grew.
Right.
Okay. Eventually, we become awakened to the truth and the fact that we're living. This is the theory, is what I'm saying. We become aware of the 3D matrix that we are plugged into, and we ascend above it, which gets us into the archons, which I'll mention later, which I think are the Anunnaki. This gets wild. Okay,
Right.
let's keep going.
Honestly,
Go ahead.
but hey, now, you talk about the reset and everything and the, cataclysm. So if we're talking about wars and everything, so let's talk about Russia. Let's take a quick brief history of Russia. Okay, at
Mhm.
one point they were ran by the Romanovs, which is like, they're family related to the English monarchy. All the
Mhm.
monarchies
Oh yeah,
in Europe, they're all related
yeah,
because
they are.
they send daughters.
I mean,
They
the
keep the
queen got
males and
all
send out
kinds
the
of shit.
daughters.
The queen got all kinds of shit because she was
Right.
Russian.
So here's the thing. So you have Okay, you have the Bolshevik Revolution, which is the start of communism in Russia. That's where it started the Soviet Union. So, if you know anything about that, you know that the last czar of Russia, uh, I can't his name. I know,
It doesn't matter. If somebody wants to know, Google it.
yeah. But the last czar of Russia, basically, ends up with this Bolshevik Revolution. He ends up abdicating from the throne because
Mhm,
it basically farming on his own land on the palace and everything, and
mhm.
basically the revolution. These Bolsheviks came up there and they gather up the family and they take them out to Siberia. And of course, if you know history, they got gunned down. Okay, they got rid of them.
Interesting they picked Siberia,
That's that's what they always do, though. They gun them down,
but
and
that's
I almost
part of this
right.
geographic location.
Exactly, and the thing is, though, so if they know that there's some kind of technology out there that's gonna give them the upper hand,
Yeah. Oh,
and I mean, and the bullsh and the USSR, if when we were growing up, when we were in school, I mean, anytime you're taking a geography class, that was like the biggest country in the
oh,
world
yeah.
because it spanned almost all of Asia.
Mhm,
So,
mhm.
you know, if they caught on to that, the Bolsheviks are like, "Okay, knock off the
Yeah,
Romanovs. We got the technology,
yeah.
hammer, sickle, star, red, you know,
We're all speaking Russian.
we're all, we're going to go to this communist utopia," which didn't really last very long, but it lasted long enough,
Yeah.
you
Okay,
know.
so the last one is suppression by elites. The overarching claim is that powerful entities, interesting term, often referred to as secret societies, globalist powers, or the Vatican, erase the memory of Tartaria from official history. We know that can happen. We watch that happen in front of our eyes. We're watching it now. Erase the memory of Tartaria from official history to suppress the knowledge of free energy, because we all know how much money is in that. Advanced consciousness is power, and a different human timeline. This narrative often intersects with other conspiracy frameworks involving the Jesuits, the Freemasons, the Rothschilds, banking empire, all of
Right.
that. So those are the 5 rabbit holes connected with Tartaria. And really, they're all even connected with each other, if you ask me.
Oh, yeah. And the thing is, it's like you mentioned, the elite, the secret society. Of course, you have the Illuminati, you
Oh,
know.
yeah. Who are
Okay,
real,
I
who are
really
real.
I believe the Rothschilds are thick as thieves with the Illuminati, you
Mm-hmm.
know? And it's
Mm-hmm.
like that's the thing. I mean, I honestly I believe that's why Kennedy got assassinated because he was breaking away from the bank, and we were going to mint our own money again, and we were
Mm-hmm.
doing our own thing,
Mm-hmm. No,
and they
they want
whacked him.
global. They want the world.
Oh yeah, they
So
want the world to own
yeah,
them. They technically own the world. Honestly,
well, let me tell
whoever
you
owns
about
the
the
money.
archons. Let me tell you about the archons, and this all fits with what you're saying. So this is actually a Gnostic
Okay,
narrative. Okay,
okay,
archons. Archons are artificial intelligences or non-physical entities. Now it's interesting.
artificial intelligence.
Yes, that one that struck me the same way. That feed on fear, limitation, and disconnection. Now that statement ties into 1,000
That's
spiritual
that's
narratives.
every country in the world and how they keep
Yes,
everybody in control.
the entire planet. Many who study Tartaria in this esoteric way believe that these forces intentionally create, and we even talked about this, if it wasn't last week, it was the week before on this podcast, intentionally created the current version of history.
Yeah.
The mechanical, industrial, and fragmented world to keep humanity cut off from its true multidimensional power. And what's science doing? Peeling it's here we've got quantum physics this close to proving multiple dimensions. You got company in the house today?
No, I got a lot of rain hitting the top,
Oh,
hitting the ceiling.
thought you were hearing footsteps above you or something.
Nope, nope. I'm actually on the main level of the house,
Oh.
back in the den.
So the suppression of Tartaria then represents an intentional erasure, which fits with that great reset that we talked about, because and they want to suppress clean energy, unified consciousness, natural medicine, and frequency-based healings, memory of human divinity and star origins.
Yeah,
That
because
fits with
it
so much.
it all falls under greed. That's what it
Greed,
is. Because we
which
know
is
that
a 3D.
the if we
Yeah.
were in a barter system where if I had apples and you had oranges, I'll
Mm-hmm.
trade you some of my apples for some of your oranges. Okay? But when
Mm-hmm.
money becomes involved, it's like now it's like who has the most money because the person who has the most money usually has the most control and the most influence. And that's what has basically happened here. And that's, I mean, the Rothschilds obviously know that because they've got quite a bit of influence on the planet, when it comes
Mm-hmm.
to money.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, it's just like I said, every country is the same narrative in every country. You know, oh, we have a shortage of this. Same like with gas prices. Sometimes you'll see gas prices go up. You're like, why did gas prices go up? Well, an
Mm-hmm.
oil refinery, exploded or something.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't have the oil, so we're jacking up the prices and all this other crap. You
Supply and
know,
demand. Supply and
supply and
demand.
demand. So it's just, I mean, it's remarkable
How it
how
fits.
it's a global network on how
Mm-hmm.
it works.
And
You know,
Bashar says that all the time.
yeah.
And Matthew Brown. Did you watch Weaponized? Did you watch all
Yeah,
three?
I
He
watched all
even at
3 of
one
them.
he at one time says this isn't a United States thing.
Right.
You need
It's a
this is way bigger. This is global.
yeah, they all I mean, every country suppresses their citizens the same way. It just might be with different things.
They might be nicer than others. Like
Yeah,
Finland's really nice about it. Switzerland's really nice about it.
right.
But it
Yeah.
doesn't mean they're not suppressing it.
Uh-huh. Oh, I know. It's it's just a mess. It really is.
It's just amazing. I don't know. I cannot help but think these things keep coming around and around and around.
I mean, and the thing is people are, they're like, I want to do something about it, but I can't, you know,
Here's the
because I don't
thing.
want to lose things I have. I got to pay money for things. I got a
I
house
know.
payment. I got
I
bills.
know.
You got bills. We all have bills.
But I'm telling you what, I don't have a house payment and I don't have credit cards. I don't have. Here's the thing about unplugging from the matrix. Okay. Do you really need it? You start appreciating creating the world around you for you versus creating the world around you for the matrix. See, the matrix wants you to have a beautiful home and it wants you to have a beautiful car. They even said it to me at church. Literally, this woman said, God wants us to have nice things.
Well, I think he does, but I mean,
Oh, sure.
I don't think it's at the
But
level.
you know what? We find our happiness within ourselves, not within these things. What if a mud flood happens tomorrow and you lose all your things?
I'll be bummed.
I
And I'm like,
won't.
this is a major bummer.
I'll
This,
be bummed for about maybe 5 minutes and then I'll be, because more and more I unplug from the matrix in any possible way I can. Now, some people can unplug completely. I won't ever be able to be because I cannot live off the grid. I can't,
right.
but some people can. And that's what they're doing. When they do that, and they are, and even then, they're not off grid because everybody's got to pay taxes on their land. So, if anything, you've got the one thing that's always going to keep you plugged in.
Right.
You know, unless you are nomadic, which there are people like that literally live in an area until they're kicked out. Like a lot of this happens a lot in remote national forest areas, you know, where just people don't go. They can live
Right.
for a while without anybody noticing. You know, here's the thing, the more you're connected to the matrix, the more it looks completely what? Until you start unplugging and then the matrix starts looking like that. At least that's my experience.
Yeah.
That's my
I,
experience.
I mean, it's just one of those things you get caught up in it,
Oh, yeah. And then you
and
can't get
once
out
you can't get out, you have
because
to, I
now you're
mean,
hooked with the money. The money is the big chain that keeps you bound.
and what kills me is like, you're like, if you have a loan on your home, you got your mortgage can be sold to someone else.
Oh,
And
over and over again.
over and over again, and then your
Cats, I
price
think, has
goes
been
up.
sold like 5 times. No,
Yeah.
not Cat, because no, not hers. But there was somebody that, yeah, was like sold 5 times.
Yep.
Yep.
And it's just, they get you in that, you get in that thing. I
They
mean,
do it with your health as well.
oh, I know because curing does not provide a profit.
They don't know. They don't want you cured per.
No, they're not going to cure a thing. Your cancer will never be cured
Yeah.
ever.
Yeah.
They'll
Yeah.
treat it, and it'll cost you a lot of money. And
Hmm.
the treatment that they use to treat you with
You just keep being
is
sick.
kind of
I
on the
did.
borderline killing your body. Chemotherapy pretty much kind of kills your body. So,
I swear to Job. Okay.
mm,
There's this drug, and I don't know the name of it, which is probably a good thing because I shouldn't mention it probably, but I watch these drug commercials, okay, for these these fancy
yeah,
pharmaceutical drugs. It literally says that it does something with your taint, causes redness and swelling in your taint, and it may, what's it called? It doesn't say cause death, but it says it may, and may be fatal.
give me some
Oh,
of that.
I'm going to take this drug for whatever little fucking problem I've got, but my taint's going to kill me for it.
Ugh. Anal leakage. That's always a fun one to hear.
I'm happy,
Makes
but my
sense.
ass
Anal
is
leakage.
leaking.
Oh, what was that show? There was the show on HBO back in the 90s called Kids in the Hall.
I remember
And,
that.
and then they made a movie about a pharmaceutical, but this company, they came out with this drug that like fixed everything.
Yeah.
And it's like the lead up, like all they do the testing. I guess they tested like how the testing going on there. He goes, "We don't have any flipper babies, do we?" And he's like, "There's, maybe one or two." And they're throwing him out. He goes, "It was just one or two flipper babies." It's like, oh my god, man.
that, but you know, I'm sitting there with Steve, and it's like I don't know what we were watching, but it was like every single commercial, the pharmaceuticals had
Oh, yeah.
this, whatever it was. I don't
Ozempic.
watch, I don't watch TV much, but
I,
Steve,
I don't even know how they name those things like that because they got the weirdest names, like Ozempic, and they
if you
got
look at the pharmaceutical name, it's usually part of that. But I'm like, how as a society do we watch these and think it's okay?
Right. I know.
How is this okay? How des it's not even desensitized.
No,
It's
I'd say,
more of I don't even know what it is. It's brainwashing.
you know what always cracked me up? And I always knew when these commercials would come on, it was like a designer drug for, um, not syphilis, but, I can't even think the name of the disease. It's like, um, but the commercials, it was basically it's a sexually transmitted disease.
Okay.
It was an STD,
Mhm.
um, but it was like type 2, you know, I don't want to say it's not syphilis, it's something else. But either way,
Mhm.
every time one of these commercials would come on there, it's like they're always like biking and they're always
Oh,
kayaking.
yeah. Oh, yeah. Let
It's
me
like
tell you
it's
something.
a
When I
great
was
way
on
to be alive.
Imbral, which was an injection once a week for, rheumatoid arthritis, and not only did it do nothing, made me sicker than crap, it was toxic to my body,
Yeah.
but the commercials, people dancing, doing all kinds of
Oh
crap.
yeah.
Like, no, you're not. You're laying in bed sick and in pain.
Yeah. The only thing that I've ever taken, Jardians. Jardians actually, I felt like was doing a good
That's
job.
the type 2 diabetes drug, right?
Right. Yeah. 'Cause you
Here's
got
the thing.
Jardians, you got Ozempic, you've got
Here's the thing.
Rybelsus.
When it comes to high blood pressure, when it comes to diabetes, when it comes to things that are going to kill you, it is my thoughts. You need to, you need to change your health. You need to take control of your health and you need to take the meds. I mean, because
Right.
this shit will kill you. Problem is the numbers of people that are taking drugs for that versus the numbers of people that are taking drugs for anti-immune issues or, yeah, issues that are incurable. All they can do is throw darts at you,
Right.
double that number.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I agree
Okay.
with you.
Okay.
I'm
The
just saying,
number, yeah, the number of people um, that are taking medications because they can't deal with life and they have to be on whatever drug
but you know,
to,
it's the way they control us, you know?
yes,
And and it comes back, it goes back to the free, energy stuff. That's why they
holistic
took
healing.
Nikola
I
Tesla.
have a multiple page PDF document that I'll be glad to send you. Um, with every frequency listed that you listen to for whatever health issue you have.
You know, I saw a thing, something like with a vibration, there's like a certain I can't what frequency the vibration is, but it like kills cancer. It kills
Yes,
cancer
I saw
cells.
that recently too. It was 1111, I think.
And it's like if that's the case, I mean, is this frequency so loud? Is it a loud frequency?
Oh,
Does
you
or
just
is it
listen to
just
it with
the
your headphones.
but
You
I'm
can do
just
it with
saying, do
headphones.
you put them in a chamber and vibrate
No, no,
them
no,
over the body and just
no,
kill all
no.
the cancer cells?
You just have to get it here. You just have to get it here. This will resonate the entire body.
Yeah.
So
Is
you
that like
just got to
with the
listen to it,
chakras?
do meditation, frequency there. I used to do it live on TikTok when I was able to do those kinds of things. You can meditate to it, and in reality, you can sit and do the dishes to it
Yeah.
because your body resonates, whether your conscious mind does or not.
Right.
It's just a good time to meditate. I mean, if you're going to do it, you may as well use it in that way, I think.
I didn't
But
know. 'Cause
yeah,
I know like when someone has like when they have like kidney stones.
Yeah.
They'll put them on there's like a table that vibrates, and they put them in through this vibration tables, which will break down the stones so they could be passed. So
Mm-hmm.
like, I mean, if they have figured out that cancer cells cannot handle a certain frequency
Mm-hmm.
throughout the body, why
Mm-hmm.
haven't they made like a table or something that you lay down on there and it vibrates at that frequency,
Mm-hmm.
killing those cells? You know what I'm saying? It's just that's just another thing. We can keep them under control. We can't make money if we're
Absolutely.
killing them, and
It's all about money. And this whole money system has been created by this archons.
yeah. So tell us about the archons.
Well, I did.
Yeah,
Didn't I? Maybe I was going to and didn't. Hang on now. I got to
yeah.
find
I don't
this
think you
again.
have.
Okay, hang on. Okay. Oh, yeah, I did because I talked about the the
Yeah.
archons being artificial
Okay.
intelligence.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
that's right.
yeah. But understand. Okay, so the archons are the ones that have constructed this matrix. Matthew Brown talks about that in Weaponized,
Right.
about
Yeah.
being part of this matrix. And government, centralized authority, organized religion used as control rather than liberal spiritual liberation, financial systems based on debt and scarcity, media and education that promote programming over critical thought, linear historical narratives that erase cyclical or multidimensional truths. I'm sorry, I see all that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You see it, and the thing is, it's like so. They erased Tartaria from the history books,
And how many times did it try to come back and get erased again?
right? And then especially if Tartaria had free energy resonating from the earth, and could it be a situation like, I mean, I think like when you look at the Egyptian pyramids,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of times when people want to go study the pyramids or something, they have to really go through they have to jump through a lot of hoops for the
Mm-hmm.
Egyptian government. I think I think there's reasons for it. I think one is because countries like England, Germany, France all went into Egypt, dug around the pyramids and stuff, and took stuff, and they have them now in their museums, and they won't give it back, that is an atrocity.
And how much are in the museums that we don't even know are
Right.
in the museums, in the basements?
And here's the thing: if you want to,
Uh-oh.
we're good, we're cool.
You're not supposed to drink during the podcast.
I'm dying. It's water. I'm diabetic. That's it. That's the only thing I keep in the Kansas City Chiefs. Yeah, Chiefs. But no, what I was saying is like this. I've heard stories about the Smithsonian
Oh, me
suppress,
too. Yeah.
suppressing stuff about giants. There was
Mm-hmm.
two
Me
brothers
too.
on History Channel talked about that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
I can't remember their names, but
I
it's a really
yeah.
cool show. They were talking about finding giant bones and
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
barrels of giants.
Yeah. They found giants here in the United States.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So the archons and the matrix. So here's what some people think the matrix actually is. It's a frequency range.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's a frequency range. And that, that fits in, or that could fit into what Matthew Brown talks about, a technology emitting this frequency rate. And see, what we know is that your body will resonate, or will try to resonate with whatever. That's why if you're around somebody who's a Debbie Downer or pissed off all the time, you're going to end up that way too. Unless your ascended can control your energy and cause people to resonate with you. So that's a whole nother thing. But so that fits. So This is why. Okay, so as long as humanity remains within the 3D frequency range, control is maintained through methods that suppress higher awareness, fear and trauma programming. Look at it. Everybody's a fucking victim.
Yeah.
Everybody's got trauma. Okay? Disempowerment through religious guilt and state control. Division through race, politics, gender. We're seeing it happen before our
Right.
eyes. They
It's
want us
been
to
happening
fight.
for the last 4 years.
Really? I think it started more like in the 90s.
Actually, I would say it even goes further back than the 90s. It
Probably.
happened right there in the 60s. You
Probably.
know, basically when JFK got assassinated, okay, when he got assassinated, Lyndon B. Johnson took over, and
Mm-hmm.
he was afraid of whoever that JFK wasn't afraid of.
Right, right.
And so he sees JFK get his head blown off, excuse me, literally get his head blown off.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like, you know, now you're the president of LBJ, and pretty much he's going to step in line, and that's what happened. That's
Mm-hmm.
why you see a lot of people in the 50s during Dwight D. Eisenhower, everything was happy. We have the nuclear family.
Everybody was, it was the
Everything's
prosperous
great.
time.
The baby boomers, World War II's over, and we can
Mm-hmm.
go and, we're going to have, as you've ever watched the 70s show, Red Foreman,
Yeah.
we're going to have hover cars,
Right.
you know, but that didn't
Yeah.
happen because, I mean, when JFK, and I've said this a lot of times, JFK was the last good Democratic president.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was the
Yeah.
last good
You're not
Democrat.
the
And
only
they
one that
shot
says
him.
that. You're not the only one that says that. I've
when
seen that.
he's when they shot him, when they got him out of there, and now they've found out that there was a coup. There was a
Yeah.
government coup.
And that's been released. I know.
Yeah, that's been released. And the thing is, it's like a lot of people were saying this, like the government took him out. And if you look at it, it's like he signed the executive actions that, if
Mm-hmm.
I'm not mistaken,
Mm-hmm.
it's 10101,
Mm-hmm.
which is if that's like a binary code
Yeah,
right
I
there.
know it is. Yeah.
But the thing is, it's like, to start minting our own money and moving away from, the
Yeah.
Rothschilds.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's
Nope. Nope.
gone.
Nope.
No, we don't do that.
Yeah.
You
And
step
and
in line.
I found myself falling victim. I mean, I can think a decade ago. Okay. Keeping individuals focused on survival and not
Yeah,
ascension.
right.
You just kind of mentioned that before. You got a
Yeah,
mortgage, you got credit cards, you got bills, but then you also look at the preppers.
yeah.
Keep them focused on war, keep them focused on disaster.
Well, they divide and conquer is what they do. It's easier to conquer a small group of people than it is a huge group of people.
Oh,
So if we take this
absolutely.
huge group of people and make them into little smaller groups of people,
Yeah,
we can control them.
yeah, yeah.
It goes down to Rockefeller, like I was saying before about the Department of Education back in the
Uh-huh.
day in John
Yeah.
D. Rockefeller.
Mhm.
He basically get people just smart enough to do the job, but not smart enough to question what they're doing.
Right.
Keep them subdued, make them do what they're supposed to do. You know,
Yep, yep. So this last one, I deal with all the time, but I don't care. I'll die on the top of that hill. Um, Mocking or censoring spiritual awakening and pseudoscience.
yeah. I mean, the thing is, it's like a lot of people, it kind of bugs me when you hear people talking about, like, they'll talk down about paranormal. You know, it's like I've sat there. Maybe it's not as glamorous as like the ghost hunters or ghost adventurers. You know, that's one thing. But stuff that I've done, my research with you and Central States Paranormal. You know, EVPs are real. I've got
Yeah.
a whole bunch of them on my computer upstairs.
And that shit's coming from somewhere.
Yeah, it's like, what's going on here? Why are there voices where there's not supposed to be voices?
And the ether was removed from the elements, earth,
Oh,
wind,
yeah.
fire, water. It's supposed to be the ether. The witches, you see that in the pentagram. Each
Yeah, the 5
okay,
points.
the one on top's the ether. And
Yeah,
you go back into medieval writings and it's there, AETHER,
right.
and removed.
Yep,
We know that for a fact. We know that happened.
right, and the thing is, and this is the one thing, it's like even people who wanna talk down, it's like ghosts aren't real, it's like they're very real, and I mean, there's been pictures of them. They've found, especially anything from Gettysburg,
Mhm.
you
Oh,
know?
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Gettysburg is a hot spot for, if you wanna get a picture of a ghost, go to Gettysburg,
Penn
you know?
State. Yeah.
Penn State, the penitentiary,
Yeah.
you know? I mean, they had it on film. It
Mhm.
popped up there and took off running.
Yeah. Yeah.
'Cause it seemed like that episode of Ghost Hunters, that was a good episode, and it seemed like there was just a lot of chaos, like everything just popped up all at once,
Mhm. Mhm.
you know? So, yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
I mean, I just do not I don't know, and maybe it's because I just continue to work on unplugging because just the more and more I just don't see. And it wasn't that, and I do analyze that within myself. It's like, okay, so 10 years ago, when I was obviously in the matrix, heavy, okay, I was living the matrix. It wasn't that I didn't believe in those things, but literally the matrix, you don't have time to analyze things.
right.
You don't have time to explore realities. You're working, paying the mortgage. They keep you chained to that
Well, they
wheel.
keep you preoccupied on getting surviving, and
Yeah.
that's.
And I think 2 years before I retired is, well, I tell you when it happened. When I got off all the pharmaceuticals, okay, that caused me to start looking into holistic methods,
Right.
you know. Then I had CIA papers being released. I had you have the and then recently the telepathy tapes, and that was actually there was scuttlebutt about those a while back before these tapes
Talking
were
about the remote viewing.
well, the telepathy tapes are the autistic um kids, the nonverbal autistic kids
Uh-huh.
that literally not only practice telepathy with their caregivers, but they have a place that they all refer to as the hill that they all meet up as kids and hang out together. And these are kids that are geographically, I mean, some are in other countries,
Oh, yeah.
and it's documented. I mean, how is this kid going to know the things it knows about this other kid unless he had met them?
Right. Yeah.
So you've got that. So that started making me think, well, wait a minute. And then, of course, having been, I mean, I started being witchy way back in the early 90s. And that was just more of a tool. But all of a sudden, that started coming into play. And how that science is starting to explain how that works. In fact, all of this is just the difference from using a handsaw or a circular saw.
Right.
Everyone has the power to perform these things. And it just grows and grows and grows. And then science starts writing theories. So the CIA and the remote viewing, oh, yeah. Totally. I have those papers right here.
Yep. Oh yeah. I believe in remote viewing.
How do people not see it or not believe it, though? I don't understand how people that I know that I always considered very intelligent, it's not even, I mean, I'm not asking them to believe these things, but look at this and tell me, and they won't even acknowledge it.
Religion will do that to you. They'll religion will be like, you can't do that. God does not allow that.
It talks about it. We talked about it.
Yeah. You know,
Religious guilt.
religious guilt. And there's just, and then you get to that point, then you get people like, well, if it can't be scientifically proven, but if they are proving it scientifically,
Well, everything's theory.
right.
But once it's a written theory, it can be changed, but it takes a lot to be able to write. I mean, if it's a written theory, we're at the speculative stage.
Well, and the thing is, with when it comes to science and everything, and this is something I've heard Neil deGrasse Tyson talk about.
Mhm.
He'll, because he had that show Cosmos, which
Mhm.
was a remake of what's his face. Cannot today my memory sucks. Uh,
My memory always sucks.
but um, Carl Sagan
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
did the
Mhm.
original Cosmos. That's the guy I'm trying to remember. Carl
Mhm.
Sagan. Neil deGrasse Tyson met him as a young, when he was younger, and
Mhm.
of course, he's become very successful in his field. And he had Cosmos. He had the show Cosmos, and he explained something I thought was really cool. He explained that how things were like to get mainstream scientific, I guess, mainstream academia
Mhm.
to acknowledge something
Mhm.
that you have. I mean, it's a fight. Like Madame
Oh,
Curie,
yeah.
there was a lot of women in like the 1800s, early 1900s,
Mhm.
that basically made all these things,
Mhm.
made all these, found all these things, but they were women,
Yeah,
and so
yeah. I mean, they
they
couldn't
got.
even vote.
It's like you should go back and make me a sandwich, kind of a deal, which is kind of
Yeah. No, yeah,
yeah.
and yeah.
But the thing is, you have like a Madame Curie who's basically buried in a lead box because she's still radioactive.
Radioactive. I know.
you
Like,
know?
she was all or nothing, man.
Oh God. You read about Madame Curie, it's like holy
Yeah.
smokes.
But
But I'm just
it's
saying though,
too much of
it's
it fits.
it's the mainstream, And the thing is, it's like when you talk about Matrix, I don't think that somewhere I'm gonna wake up on a table plugged in, with a thing plugged into
No,
the back of my head like you saw
no.
in the movie
I
Matrix. I think the Matrix and the technology is not what we think it really is. I think it's just a methodology that they've been using since the Catholic Church,
yeah,
since the
a form
Vatican.
of
Because
conditioning
at
or
one time
brainwashing.
in the medieval times, you was basically it was the king,
Yeah,
and the king and country, but the king still was kind of kept in line by the Pope.
right.
And there was a big one when Martin Luther, when he started saying, writing his papers and saying this is a load of crap that they're doing, and he
Mhm.
started the Lutheran Church. You got King Henry VIII of England, who basically got out of he broke away from the Catholic Church mainly because he wanted to divorce his
He
first
wanted,
wife.
yes, yes,
Then,
yeah.
his
Created
reasons
the
were
Church
not
of England.
of any kind of
Yeah,
morality. Uh,
yeah.
but still,
But we
I
still have
mean,
to control people. So,
so he's the head of the Church of England.
right, right.
So every king's the head of the Church of England.
Yeah, yeah.
But if you ever watch The Tudors on HBO, that
No,
series,
no,
yeah,
I have.
it's really interesting. I don't know how much is factual. I
Yeah,
think they were pretty close to it, but I don't think they were factual in all of it.
yeah.
But they pretty much they got the gist of it because he had 6 wives, and the way you remember that is divorced, beheaded, died, Then the fourth wife was divorced, beheaded, lived.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
how you remember the wives.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah, that's it. It talks about that it serves as a this 3D matrix, or it serves as a frequency lock. It's
Yeah.
like they've locked you in.
It- it-
If you do not remember a world where harmony, free energy, and unified consciousness were possible, then you cannot seek or create it.
and the thing is, it's like I can now I sit here and think about it. I mean, I always hear a ringing in my ear. I
Mhm.
always do. And I think
Mhm.
that's because, my hearing's not the best. I listen to
Mhm.
music very loudly.
Mhm.
And plus blood pressure will make those little bones in your ear
Mhm.
bounce
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
everything. But I also think that there's a lot of I think like lights sometimes will buzz, street
Oh,
lights.
absolutely they
And
will.
I almost wonder, has anyone ever tried to figure out what the frequency that they buzz at?
I know. I think about things like that too.
Because what city doesn't have streetlights in
Right.
America?
Right.
You know, I mean,
Well,
every
even your
small town.
technology, this computer, my
Yeah,
phone.
yeah, the tablet I'm looking at
Yeah.
and watching fall over
Right.
sometimes.
Right. So what's happening right now, okay, is a lot of us are shifting into the 4D. Some already have. This involves questioning, deprogramming, which is what I'm in the middle of doing, reclaiming your sovereignty, and realizing that reality is malleable. Now, that is where I am. The objective is to go into the 5D consciousness, which moves you beyond duality and control, and it's rooted in unity, compassion, multidimensional awareness, and alignment with the source. And that fits into these theories of these other um, alien societies, that we have the some that want to keep us in the 3D matrix, but
Right.
then we have the some that want us to catch up with them.
Yeah.
So that fits into that. I don't know. I don't know. I think it's something I'm probably going to continue studying and just continue following. It's almost becoming a cog that connects a lot of things. What do you think?
Yeah. I think so too. I mean, there's something to it. I think Tartaria, honestly, is basically a story. It's a life story of just basically of being told, for so long that something does exist.
Yeah.
And so now people, when you say Tartaria and you start bringing up facts, like that's a bunch of hooey, that's a
Right.
bunch of
What we're
TikTok hooey,
conditioned to say. Yeah.
you know. And
Hmm.
so that's, as you're saying, that's mocking, you
Hmm.
know, calling it pseudoscience, just like they call paranormal,
Hmm.
astrology. I think astrology, they say that you can't base your life on the stars, but I think it does have
I
an
think you
effect.
can. Yeah.
I mean, I know sometimes where I work at, and because I talk and deal with the public, and there are some days every phone call I take, they're just
Oh, my friend Shelly talks about that too.
crazy.
Yeah, my friend Shelly talks
They're
about that
just
too.
they're just crazy. And it's like
Mhm.
I used to work with a lady named Joyce, and I'd be like, I'm like, every call I've talked to, these people they're just aggressive, they're crazy, they're just out there.
Mhm.
And she would look at the vibration. There's some website she'd go to, and she goes, well, the vibration of the earth is really high today. And
Right,
so,
right.
well,
Hey, I
explain
have
it.
been getting alerts about the Schumann, but
About,
it's only up like 3% right
yeah,
now,
yeah.
which to me is up, but it's only
Hey,
3%.
before we end this thing,
Yeah.
one thing I want to talk about, because I don't know if we recorded this. Alex was talking about the Ouija board and the May 27th, and
Oh,
something
yeah,
happening
we talked about it on the last week's podcast.
on last week's podcast.
Mhm.
So I was, I guess that axial seamount there off of Oregon.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still building up and everything. I guess they've been watching everything, and I was kind of researching that too, and basically that just seems like that's gonna if that thing goes off, hopefully it doesn't happen on Tuesday, but I feel like if that goes off, that's gonna start cause actually a chain event of earthquakes because he had said there's like talking about 10,000 earthquakes.
Yeah.
And
27th is Wednesday.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
27th is actually
I'm looking at the
is
calendar right
Tuesday.
now.
Is it
Oh,
Tuesday?
wait, you're right, because today's Sunday. Durr. Yeah,
Today's Sunday.
yeah,
So
yeah,
today's the 25th.
yeah.
So Tuesday, it'd be I mean, I'm hoping it doesn't happen.
Go get your bottled water.
Yeah, folks, if you're watching this, if there's more than 2 or 3 people watching our podcast,
Hey, we
hopefully,
had like 40 one time.
there we go. So basically, I mean, it's something to keep an eye on because from what I've read, is like if that thing goes off and it triggers a mega thrust quake,
Mhm. Mhm.
basically because it's the ring of fire, and if there's magma built up there and it breaks loose, and
Mhm.
that's going to go down. It's like it'll go right down to the San Andreas fault line,
Mhm.
and that could actually, I mean, it's very, very, I guess from what I see, very low for it to cause Yellowstone to erupt,
Yeah. Yeah.
from what I've read. But they
Yeah.
said it's possible though that the New Madrid fault could
Yes,
have
I've been hearing a lot of scuttlebutt about the new
the
Madrid.
New Madrid fault could have a little motion
Mhm.
like 7.3.
Which will affect me. It would definitely
Yeah,
affect you.
it would me and you. I mean, that's
Yeah.
St. Louis, Memphis.
Yeah.
I mean, those
Yeah.
are 2 major cities right there. Same,
And we're not talking about the end of civilization, but we're talking
no,
about things that you need to be aware of, which is supply chain interruptions.
right, because that's going to
Elec
go across there.
electric grids going down, stuff that you take for granted that you're not gonna have, so
Well, the
just
thing
be
is, though,
ready. Just
they
be
said that
ready.
if that thing goes off there, it could have like a 9.3 magnitude earthquake up on the West Coast, and that's 300 miles off the Oregon coast. And this thing blows up there. That's going to be a tsunami that's going to hit the Western seaboard, and
Mhm.
also with the vibration. I mean, people in California know. They
It could
all
be
know
bad,
how those earthquakes and
bad.
how the ground liquefies once it starts vibrating so much.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So keep
It's
an eye on the
crazy.
27th, 2
Keep an
days
eye on
away.
it. Keep an eye on it. Meanwhile, like and subscribe.
Heck yeah, like and subscribe. Hey,
It
thanks
helps
to those
us
people
grow, and
down there below.
give us some topics.
Yeah.
Tell us what you want us to talk about.
Yep.
We love to look into new things and stuff that we haven't, like this Tartaria. That was, I mean, I'd heard of it, but I was I'm
Yeah.
gonna be getting into it more.
It's very interesting. I
Yeah.
think it's more of, like I said, it's more of a story of how how that information is being suppressed and knocked away because they
Mhm.
don't want people knowing what they were able to do.
Right. And that this is really all just a game.
And also what's going on underneath the pyramid in Giza.
Too
You
much of
know,
it fits together.
it's like this. Here's a situation, and the government's not going to let anyone go in there
Yeah.
and dig underneath there.
Yeah. I know.
That's like no.
All right, y'all. Till
All
next
right.
week.
Till next week. Take care.